Hi YouTube, and welcome back to Chino Does Stuff. It's fabulous to have you here. Today we're going to be continuing our journey with Microsoft PowerApps and looking at PDF creation. Creating PDFs is something that I get asked about over and over again. I've probably built hundreds, well I have literally built hundreds of apps for business owners and business units. And I get asked this over and over again, can we export to PDF, or can we export some kind of output to PDF? This is something that's really important, something that you're going to need to roll into your Power App for absolutely sure. At some point, someone's going to ask you for it. You're going to need to know how to do it. Let's get started, let's get going, and let's get on with today's show.
So today we want to, I want to, like I said in my intro, I want to show you how to export some data to PDF. So I think what we'll do is we'll put a PDF button on this screen and we will PDF this data that's coming from this record. Now, this is going to be a really simple example, and I'm not going to go through a lot of, not going to take a lot of time formatting and that kind of stuff. So really, it's just going to be very basic. But once you have those basics down, you should be able to add or your own flourish and put your own formatting in there using HTML and just standard HTML and make these exports to PDF look really good. All right, so let's get cracking on this. The first thing I want to do, again, like I mentioned in the intro, the PDF conversion stuff, actually we need to bring, we can't do it all in PowerApps. We actually have to do some of it in Flow. Now, Flow it's only really 1 degree off having this functionality directly in PowerApps. It just means we've got to build a flow, and then we call that flow from PowerApps. And the PowerApps and Flow are so tightly integrated, all the data exchange and that is just handled really smoothly. So hopefully you get a good grasp of that when we go through and set this up. So the first thing, like I said, the first thing we need to do is set up a flow. I've got a couple examples here already that I've been playing around with, but let's create a new one. And we're just going to choose a blank. Now the first thing I want to do, this is the, by the way, this is the Flow interface, so you can see I'm on the Flow website to create a flow here. So we're not in PowerApps, we're actually in the Flow creator. So the first thing I'm going to look for is PowerApps. So this is my trigger. So what I'm basically saying is I want to integrate this flow with my Power App, and that's where the trigger is going to come from. So I'm going to call this flow from my Power App, and it's going to start that those flow actions. Right, so the next step I want to do is I want to create some variables. Now what I'm going to use these variables for is effectively passing data from my Power App to Flow, so then it can action on it. And I'm going to need 2 variables. One variable will be the HTML data or the HTML string that I'm going to send from Power. I'm going to generate in Power Apps from the data, from my gallery data. I'm going to pass this to Flow, and Flow is going to create a PDF and then going to save to SharePoint. So I'm going to save that PDF to a SharePoint document library. So like I said, the first variable, so we want to initialize the variable. We will call this, I'm just going to call it, pick a name for it that makes sense. And this, like I said, this is going to be my HTML data that I'm going to generate my PDF from. And the value here, so when I click on the value field, I can see that I can see it doesn't really know where I'm going to get that data from. But if I click on show more, let me just see if I can get that back. If I click on see more, it has like a good guess at where I may want to get that data from. So I want to get that data from PowerApps. So I'm saying to get this variable, I'm going to ask PowerApps for it. Okay, so I want another variable. So like I said, I've got two parameters. And this is also going to be initialized variable. This one I'm going to call var file name string. And I'm going to ask PowerApps for that one as well. All right, there are two variables. All right, the next thing I want to do is actually create the file. So we need to do that in OneDrive because OneDrive is the only place where we have the functions to create the PDF at the moment. I'm not entirely sure why they're only available in OneDrive, but we need to use OneDrive even if we're just using it temporarily to generate our PDF. And then of course, once the PDF is generated, we're going to save that to SharePoint. So let's go create file. And I'm going to choose, I've already created a demo folder in my OneDrive. Now the file name, okay, so I'm ahead of myself a little bit here. One thing I also want to do, because I'm going to be passing this string, I'm going to need another variable. So all I want to do here is I want to call this var full file name. And this is something I discovered just with experimenting with this. Full file name. And it's going to be a string. And in here, I want to run a expression. And I want to use concat. Now, this is the syntax you need to use. I need to use this variable function. Now, PowerApps does something really annoying at this point. It starts popping up help windows. It gets in the way and it means you basically can't see what you're typing. But if you just ignore it and you're confident you know what you're typing, it'll work. See what I mean? It starts popping up these help windows. So in this variable, we want to actually put open quotes, and we want to take that variable file name, var. Okay, so we're referencing that file name. So we're using the concat because we want to add something to the end of that file name string. And in here we want to put .html because we want, when we're creating the file, we actually want to create it with an extension. Now this is one thing I've worked out while playing around with this. If you don't put that file extension on the end, it doesn't actually, it errors out and won't create the file. So make sure you add an extension to that file name. Now we've got our full file name here. So now our file name is going to be var full file name. Oh, let's just get rid of that. Full file name and the file contents. Now again, PowerApps is unsure what we want to put in here, but if we go see more, we know we want that contents. We want to be the HTML we're passing from our PowerApp. All right, so that's the file created. The next step we want to do is we want to convert that to a PDF. Again, that's a OneDrive function. And the function we want here, or the function under OneDrive we want is convert file using path. Now in here, we want to select the path. So what we're doing there, if we roll over this, we'll see a little pop-up here saying, I'm going to generate that PDF using the create file in the create file workflow item, and the path, the exact path to the file that's returned back from this create file action. So that just, we can grab that automatically through the dynamic content on this convert file using path. So again, we just select path for that, and the target is PDF. So that's all we need to do there. But what this has actually done is this PDF is still stored in memory. It's not actually, we haven't saved it anywhere yet. So the next step, we need to take this PDF that's in memory and we need to save that out to SharePoint. So let's create a new step. And you know, we could also be saving this back to OneDrive, but I'm just going to choose SharePoint because this is probably better for a real world scenario. Like, it's most likely that you're going to want to have this in SharePoint somewhere. So that way it's accessible. It's just, you know, you may push it into a project site, or you may push it into an application site where the site that your application is already sitting or like hosted in, or where you're linking from. You'll create some supporting document libraries and so forth, and this is where you'll save all your PDF attachments. You may even use SharePoint as a temporary location, and then you just link to that, and when the user opens that link, or you navigate to that link, and then the user has the option to save the PDF to their hard drive or to another location. So the option we want here is create file in SharePoint. Now here's it's looking for a SharePoint site address and document library, and we're going to give it a file name and some file contents as well. So first up, I'm just going to grab my my demo document, like my demo SharePoint site that I've been using this whole time. Just paste that in. Okay, so this is, we just need to say use a custom one because I haven't used that one before, and that's fine, accepts that. Now in the folder path, if I hit the little folder file, I'm going to chuck this, just for this demo, I'm going to chuck this in shared documents library, but you may choose a special document library for your application. That's fine. As long as it's under that site, it'll be visible. Now in here, for the file name, we actually want to take, so this convert file using path option has returned two values back to us. Now these two values are the ones we're going to use here because we want the file name of the PDF that's been created, and this is available. See how under our dynamic content it's saying, well, under the convert file using path option, we've got a file content that has been returned, and we've also got a file name that has been created. So we want, under file name, we want to choose file name, and under file content, we want to choose file content. And let's save that. Actually, I have given that a really terrible name, but let's just call this something else. Let's call this make PDF _3. So the next thing we need to do is wire that into our Power App. So let's fire up our Power App. Let's open up our option. All right, we've got this screen. So let's just drop a button down. It's a little bigger. We're just going to call this export to PDF. Now in the actions, choose the actions up on the top menu, and we want to choose flow this time. So I gave that a really terrible name, unfortunately. So let's, this will probably refresh after a while, so that's okay. So let's just click on that, we'll add that. This should come up with the correct name here. Just for some reason, this list takes a while to refresh. So if you have renamed, if you did save your flow as just a default name, and then you go back and you have a look and you go, well, what's this junk? This will refresh after a while. So you may, after you've closed down your Power App and then you go back in, you'll see that that has refreshed. But you can see once it's selected, it has chosen the correct name here for the flow call. So on our button, export to PDF, we've got on select, we've got make PDF, run. So if we click in here, we can see our workflow is wanting 2 parameters, because remember we put in our workflow 2 variables that are asking PowerApps for their values. So if we go back to our flow, we go up here, we can see our first one is our HTML and our second one is our file name. So these will be in order. Go back, our run, our first one is our HTML, right? So we've gotten ahead of ourselves a little bit. We still need to create some HTML to push in here. So let's go and do that. And the way I like doing this, I played around with different ways, but one of the, a kind of really nice way to do this is if you create a new screen, that's where I settled on, and I'm just going to call this PDF. And in here, I'm going to drop this control, not that one, and you drop this control called HTML text. So this is going to show us HTML. Now, I've got a little I've just got something I can copy and paste in here to make this a little quicker. Okay, so if you know anything about HTML, and you're really going to have to know a little bit to do this, you see this is a standard HTML document that I've pasted in here, and you can get this from, you can get examples of this, and they, you know, this boilerplate you can download, or you can Google this and you can get an example of this anywhere. So this particular one, we won't need this style. Yeah, we're not going to need any of that. So this is going to be pretty straightforward, and we won't need a table. So what I'm going to do, and I'm hoping, like I said, I hope most people here know a little bit about HTML. So we can see this is a string, and we can actually concatenate strings together here. So what we want to do is, from screen 2, we want to select, well, this is our H2 tag, so let's just put title, and then let's create a div under it. And if you know your HTML, you must be getting a little bit excited at this point, because you're thinking, wow, we're just going to be pushing HTML to the PDF. We could do a lot of really cool, funky formatting here. And, you know, I've had a little bit of a play around with it, and yeah, you can format this really, you can get the formatting really nicely, really looking nice. Okay, so let's break this string. So we're effectively, what we're doing here, we're connecting 2 strings together. And in here, I want to reference my title field dot text. So this is just our title field from screen 2. Let me, because I'm kind of lazy, I'm going to just paste that in again. Next one is description. And if you know anything about JavaScript, this is like very similar to how we would do this in JavaScript, where we're just connecting these strings together using ampersand. Now in here we have description field. And that's this description.text. Again, perfect. Might show, let's also show created by. and create a date. Is there other field? They're all just text fields. All right, I think that'll do. So like I said, this is really super simple. Let's call this PDF export. So that's just our HTML field, the HTML control we dropped onto the page. All right, so if we go back to screen 2, and in our button here, we want 2 variables, remember. First one is our HTML. Our second variable is our file name. First parameter will be our PDF, so we select our PDF export HTML field, dot, and the property is HTML text, which is the property on that particular field. A little bit different from a standard text field, so we're selecting HTML text. The second one is our file name. So in here we want to, I'm gonna just call it export. Oh, let's call it record number. So that's the first part of our string, and I'm going to attach to that gallery 1. So that's our gallery, whatever we've selected, which is the data we're looking at it on screen 2. And I'm going to choose the unique ID. So this is the first part of the file name that I'm sending to Flow. Let's just get rid of these spaces as well. Let's hit export to PDF. Kind of nervous now. Let's have a look. Let's hit refresh. And bang, we've got our PDF created from that record. If we open that up, we can see our PDF has been generated. So the other thing I'd like to show you, and we're going to use exactly the same flow here, but we're going to get a little tricky with our export, because I also want to do an export to PDF on this view. Now this is just a touch more trickier. Let's insert a button. Let's call this export to PDF. So with this button, we want the user to be able to hit this and export this entire list to PDF, not just an individual record. So we'll need to go over to our PDF screen, and we're going to insert another, because this is a different export. We're going to insert another HTML. And this one, let's copy my definition. So in here, here's our PDF, our HTML document again. But this time I have defined a HTML table, and this is really the easiest way to display grids, is just use a HTML table. But like I said, you can get way more interesting. You can create way more interesting HTML than just a HTML table to create nice grids on the page. All right, so with the HTML table, we want to create rows of data. Now, what we want to do here is we want to use, so let's, like with the other example, let's break the string. And in here, we want to use a concat function. So what concat does, it takes a table of data or tabulized data, and it will concat them together into one big string or one big output. So we can mix and match data from our gallery. So we can point our gallery to concat, and we can mix and match that data with the HTML HTML strings, and we can generate correct output so that our table within these two table tags, we get the correct HTML rendered in this screen. So let's give that a go. So our first field here is going to be, our first parameter here is going to be gallery 1, but we want all items from gallery 1. Now, our first field we want to show is, well, the first thing we want to do is we want a TR tag and TD tag, because that is standard HTML table formatting. TR is a row and a TD is a cell in a table. So the first cell we want to show the title. The title field. Now, with every HTML, we need to close the tag. So we're just closing the TD tag, and we want another cell . Okay, so we want another open TD. So we're creating the second cell across, and we will have, close that. And we want our description. So we're picking columns from our gallery. Now let's, so we're closing that TD again, and then we want to open the TD. And let's select the created by. Display name. Created by is a profile field, so that's why I've had to add what property I want out of display created by. It's not just a text value that's returned back by the column like these two are. Created by is a special column in SharePoint that is user profile field, so that's why I need to specify further. All right, so created by, and let's just add one more cell. And we want the created. Now we need to close off that HTML. So it's /td is closing off that particular TD tag, and then we want a /tr, which closes off the row. And that is our concat. So if we chuck that all together, Right, so we have our concat here that will go through every line in the gallery, all items, and create a row of HTML for each line in that gallery. And you can see we've got generated HTML. Now this is not really well formatted here, but I'm just going to leave that the way it is because it's really, for this example, it's fine. Okay, so let's go back to screen one. Let's just call this field PDF export to. Okay, so under screen one, let's take our button, and on select we want to call our make PDF 3, and here we want to pass it. The first parameter, remember, is our HTML, so we want PDF export to, just like with our other PDF button, export to HTML text. And our second one is going to be our parameter. So let's just call it PDF. Let's call it dashboard. I'm going to join that with gallery 1 and whatever we selected and the unique ID. So we'll always have a unique ID at the end of that file. Just close brackets. Let's run that and give that a go. Hit export to PDF. Let's go over to our document library. Let's hit refresh. All right, we're seeing another PDF there. So far, so good. Let's open that up. Fantastic. And we've got although it looks like I messed up by HTML there, but it's still managed to render it okay. But as you can see, we've got a really nice formatted PDF that is a grid view from our gallery. This could be from SharePoint. This is from a SharePoint list. This could be from SQL. This data could be from an Excel spreadsheet. Any tabular source, any repeating data source, and we've done that conversion through PDF through our workflow.
Okay, so that is PDFing in PowerApps. Hopefully you liked that video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe, because subscribing tells me you're really liking what I'm doing and you want to see more. Of course, if you have any kind of feedback, please leave a comment in the comments section, because all of that stuff helps me and gives me encouragement. I thank you so much for watching YouTube. I'll see you in the next video.